Breaking political news today. Days before the Iowa caucuses, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has dropped out of the race. Christie has consistently called out former President Trump during his campaign, and when he did so, he was often met with boos from Republican voters. And speaking of Iowa, that is where we find Aaron Kall, Director of Debate at the University of Michigan. Thanks for joining me tonight, Aaron.
Well, it's great to be back with you.
Yeah. So before we jump into the debate tonight and what's going on in Iowa, quick thoughts on Christie dropping out.
Yeah, so really kind of came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden before this major debate tonight, Christie wasn't scheduled to participate in it, but there are two debates coming up next week in New Hampshire where he was very formidable and thought to be part of that. But now that he's out, it's basically a two-person race between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. And so the real question is going to be where his supporters go. And it really just increases the importance of tonight's debate because both of them are trying to get a second place finish in Iowa and present themselves as a credible alternative to Trump. So a debate that had a lot of very high stakes only got greater. And both of them are looking to try to get into a head-to-head contest against frontrunner Donald Trump.
Yeah, you mentioned two-person race. Tonight is going to quite literally be just a two-person debate. How does that format, do you think, change the game for the candidates and for the voters watching?
Yeah, I think it improves the experience for everybody. There's nowhere to hide for the candidates. In some of the previous debates, some other candidates, mostly Vivek Ramaswamy, really took up a lot of the oxygen and time and kind of mixed it up with some of the candidates, even though he wasn't in the top tier. This is just one versus one. It's more akin to a presidential debate. And so it takes the pressures off the candidates because they don't have to worry about getting a word in edgewise, and they know they can attack each other back and forth where they haven't been able to do so as much previously. So I think it's going to be a very negative tone. You're going to see that they're both under pressure and really trying to make their final case to voters in Iowa before things start in the next few days. But it's going to be a back and forth brawl between the two of them. But they also can't forget to also go after the front runner who's not on the stage, Donald Trump, because even if one of them have a very good debate tonight, if they don't bring Trump down and close that gap between him, then it's all going to be for naught.
Yeah, his presence is always felt. How much do you read into the endorsement from Governor Kim Reynolds there? That went to DeSantis, but a lot of voters seem to still be pretty big fans of Haley.
Yeah, endorsements are nice to have, especially the sitting incumbent governor is very popular in the state, but ultimately it's more about the candidates. And, you know, Trump has been a former president. He was campaigning back in Iowa in 2015 and 16. And so it may move, you know, a few percentages at the margins for those who are undecided, but it's not going to be the end all be all. DeSantis has also had some other endorsements and Haley as well. So just like, you know, editorials and things like that, they're nice to have, but really it's retail, politicking, campaigning, and DeSantis has visited all 99 counties, and making your argument directly to the voters matters a lot more. Tonight will matter a lot more than endorsements. Millions of people are going to watch. There's only a few days before voting starts, and many are still undecided. And so trying to make a really good closing pitch would be very helpful to both of the remaining candidates.
So from where we stand right now, and of course things could change by the end of the night, do you think either DeSantis or Haley could pull off what Trump did in 2016 in not winning Iowa, but going on to earn the nomination?
It's unlikely. You know, the dynamics then were so much different. Trump also skipped the debate in Iowa in 2016, but he was only ahead by a few points at that time. He hadn't served as president. He was more of an unknown commodity. But this time he's being treated as an incumbent president. He has a huge, unprecedented lead in Iowa. Before it was only a few points. Now it's, you know, dozens and dozens of points. And so I think he's going to win no matter what. And voters aren't punishing him for not participating in debates. He's doing a counter-programming town hall on Fox News tonight. But really the question is going to be second place, and also where second place finishes in relation to expectations. You know, everyone's expecting Trump to win by maybe 20 or 30 points, but you never know until the voting starts. And if someone gets a closer second than predicted, then that could be really big and show maybe the support for Trump is not as deep and there are more undecided voters. And who gets second place is really important because it's going to provide momentum heading into New Hampshire. If DeSantis wins, he spent a lot of time in Iowa. That could give him some momentum into New Hampshire and show that he's the most plausible alternative to Trump. But if Haley wins, it literally may be the end of the DeSantis campaign, and then that would really give her a lot of headwinds headed into New Hampshire, and it could be a one-on-one race that everyone covets then that she'd have against Trump.
I think there have been increasing questions in recent years about the power of Iowa and whether it is as powerful as it once was. What do you think about that?
No, it's not. Generally the rule of thumb is there's 3 tickets out of Iowa. The field is so small right now. There's probably only one other than Trump. But no, in previous years, Ted Cruz, Rick Santorum, others have won Iowa and then disappeared and not been very formidable in the election. So it's first, and so there's always importance of that. But it's not very representative of the other states or just in general who's going to win. And it's diametrically opposed to New Hampshire, what's coming up just in a week. Very different demographics and where the voters are in the primary. So it gets a lot of attention. People spend a lot of time here, and they take it very seriously, voting in person at the caucuses. But it's just the first one, and then we go to New Hampshire and other places like South Carolina and Nevada, and then once into Super Tuesday. So it's just a start, but not always emblematic of what ultimately will happen.
Sure. And I'm curious, since you've been there in Des Moines, what's the feeling you're getting from voters? What are you hearing out there?
Yeah. No, it's very cold and snowy, even more so than Detroit. It sounds like that weather's headed our way soon. But there's a lot of engagement. I mean, it's just people are everywhere and everyone's talking about politics. And I think the Christie news today really threw everybody for a loop. But I still sense a lot of undecided voters. I mean, people like, the top 3 candidates, and many voted for Trump previously, but they're still on the fence. And so that's why things like the debate tonight, the town hall, and other things so close to the proximity when voting starts could really make the difference. I think a lot of people I've talked to and seen could go either way, and they're just kind of waiting for one thing in their gut to make them make a final decision. And so in the closing days, that's why it's always very important to make a really good closing statement and put yourself in the best light before people actually have to vote when it's so important. And the weather here is even going to be worse. It's going to be in the negatives. And so for people to kind of go out and vote with those obstacles, they really are going to have to feel comfortable about their candidate, because it's going to take a lot of time and effort in the cold. And so those that have the most loyal voters will fare the best when voting starts, because you're really going to want to have to go out and vote given the climate and everything.
Yeah, and those caucuses take a lot of energy. It's not just filling in a bubble and walking out. All right, Aaron Kall.
Oh, yes, very unique, for sure.
Director of Debate at the University of Michigan. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Anytime. Take care.